There is a quiet architect within you. It does not use bricks or blueprints, nor does it work with hands or tools. Its materials are moments, thoughts, feelings, choices, and dreams. Its workshop opens in every breath, every blink, and every heartbeat. This architect is your mind. It never sleeps, not truly. Even when you close your eyes and drift toward stillness, it continues to build, weaving delicate bridges, softening sharp edges, reshaping the unseen structures of who you are. You are not static. You are a living landscape of change. At first, it's hard to imagine. You wake up and feel like the same person you were yesterday. But deep inside, the quiet architecture of your brain is shifting, almost invisibly. Connections strengthen where attention flows. Others fade, like trails in sand erased by the tide. This is the secret rhythm of neuroplasticity, the gentle power that allows your brain to renew itself. It is not just an idea of science. It is the heartbeat of transformation. Every experience, every emotion, every moment of wonder or pain becomes a sculptor's touch, shaping the clay of your inner world. Sometimes you feel the change, a sudden clarity, a realization, a soft letting go. Other times, it happens in the shadows, in silence, unnoticed. The way you respond to a word of kindness, the ease with which you recall a memory, the subtle shift in how you see yourself, all are signs of the architect at work. Each neuron in your brain is like a star in a vast sky, and the connections between them are constellations that change their pattern with time. Your thoughts are the light that redraws them. Each moment you pay attention, something inside you realigns. There is something tender about this. It means you are never trapped by what once was. You are not fixed in the shape of yesterday's fears or limitations. Even the scars within you, the emotional ones, are not the end of the story. They are simply pathways being redrawn. What was once pain can become wisdom. What was once confusion can become clarity. Your mind learns from itself, like a tree learning to grow toward light. This, too, is neuroplasticity, the art of becoming again and again. As you listen, perhaps your breathing slows. Perhaps you can feel the pulse at your temple or the warmth behind your eyes. Inside that quiet rhythm, tiny currents of electricity move through billions of cells, weaving the story of you. They are not random sparks. They are a conversation, a language without words, spoken in pulses of possibility. Each pulse is a choice. Each moment is an opportunity to form a new path, to release an old one, to allow softness where once there was tension. When you rest, your mind reviews these paths. It notices which patterns you've walked often and which ones have been forgotten. It strengthens the ones that serve you, the paths of love, gratitude, curiosity, and lets the others grow faint, like fading trails in a forest. This is the brain's kindness. It learns what you practice most. It builds the self you return to. Imagine your thoughts as drops of water falling on soft earth. Where they land, they carve channels. When you return to the same thought, the channel deepens, becoming a river. Over time, that river becomes a part of the landscape. So when you think often of peace, or compassion, or patience, your inner rivers flow that way more easily. And when you notice yourself drifting toward worry, anger, or fear, remember, those are just rivers too, ones that can be redirected with gentle practice. Every breath, every act of awareness is a chance to reshape their course. This is not forceful work. It is quiet tending, like a gardener touching soil at dawn. You are simply caring for what grows inside. Sometimes the brain feels like a storm. Memories flash like lightning. Thoughts collide like clouds. But even storms reshape the land they pass over. They bring water where it's needed. They cleanse the air. Your emotions, too, are part of this architecture. Even pain has purpose, to awaken new understanding, to carve space for empathy, to strengthen your resilience. The mind is not only a place of thought, it is also the keeper of feeling. It weaves emotion into knowledge and experience into wisdom. So when you cry, when you laugh, when you forgive, the architect listens. And it builds something new in the stillness of night. Your brain works differently. It reviews, repairs, rebalances. It files away memories, dissolves confusion, strengthens what matters most. It's as if your thoughts are being gently sorted into their rightful places, and your emotions are given a chance to breathe. The world outside quiets, but inside there is movement, silent, sacred, necessary. Your dreams are part of this process. They are not random fragments. They are bridges, connecting what was with what might be. As you drift in that dreamlight, your brain hums with renewal. If you could see it, you'd see something beautiful, not in color or sound, but in purpose. You'd see a landscape glowing faintly with potential, connections forming and dissolving, like waves that both shape and smooth the shore. Every day, your mind rewrites a small part of your story. Every night, it whispers, "You are still growing." It does not matter how old you are or how far you've traveled. Your brain remains tender with possibility. There is no final version of you, no fixed self that cannot bend. You are the process, not the product. You are the flow, not the form. Sometimes, renewal feels like forgetting. You may lose old habits, old certainties, old ways of seeing. It can feel like loss, but it is space, the space for new understanding to take root. The brain clears room the way a forest drops its leaves, making way for spring. And though you may not see it yet, something new is already beginning beneath the soil. Neuroplasticity is not loud. It doesn't announce itself. It hums beneath your awareness, patient and kind. Every repetition, every pause, every moment of grace is part of its language. You are constantly being remade, not by magic, but by the gentle persistence of being alive. As your breathing deepens now, imagine your mind as a vast, luminous garden. Each thought is a seed, each emotion a breeze, each choice a ray of light that helps something grow. The soil remembers everything, not as weight, but as wisdom. What you nurture thrives. What you release returns to the earth. There is no rush here. Growth happens in its own time. You are enough, even as you change. The architect within you works silently tonight, building bridges of compassion, paths of patience, and towers of understanding. You do not have to control it. You only have to rest and allow it to do its sacred work. And as you drift, the final whisper comes not in words, but in warmth. You are safe to change. Your brain believes in renewal, even when you forget to. It does not cling to who you were. It dreams of who you can be. And with each quiet night, each slow breath, that dream becomes more real. in the darkness. The gentle architect continues its quiet work, rebuilding the bridges between memory and meaning, between the self you were and the one you are becoming. You do not need to try. You only need to rest. Your mind will find its way. Close your eyes for a moment. Beneath the skin of your forehead, beyond the quiet rhythm of your breath, there is a vast and glowing world. It does not look like anything you've seen yet. It is more you than your reflection. It is made of light and motion, of whispers carried on electric breath. This is your neural universe, billions of cells sparkling in living conversation. They do not sleep. They shimmer, they hum, they reach for one another. Every thought, every feeling, every dream begins here in the soft murmuring of neurons finding connection. Imagine standing at the edge of that inner cosmos. You would see rivers of light branching in every direction, tiny sparks leaping from one cell to another, each leap carrying meaning, memory, and possibility. These are not random flashes. They are stories, the language of your existence, written in electricity. When you feel joy, the pattern glows in one constellation. When you remember love, another network awakens. When you dream, the whole sky of your mind rearranges its stars. Neurons are delicate, like the filaments inside a lantern. They do not touch, yet they reach for each other endlessly, stretching across invisible gaps called synapses. Across these tiny spaces, they whisper through chemicals, messages of thought, emotion, sensation. It is here in the synapse that your mind becomes motion. One spark releases a molecule. That molecule travels across the small dark space and binds to another neuron, a moment of meeting so brief and yet so sacred, for from it comes awareness itself. You are made not of things, but of connections. When you feel the warmth of memory, the scent of rain, a voice, a smile, it is not just remembered, it is recreated. Neurons that once fired together do so again, reawakening the constellation of that moment. Your brain does not store experiences as fixed pictures. It weaves them like tapestries, thread by thread. Each time you recall something, you are also remaking it, slightly changed, slightly new. Your memory is alive, always growing with you. If you could listen closely, you might hear it, a soft chorus of electrical whispers, each pulse like a drop of rain on still water. Every neuron listens and responds, not as an isolated note, but as part of a larger harmony. Your thoughts are not straight lines. They are ripples in a pond, overlapping, blending, forming patterns that shift with your emotions. That is why a single memory can awaken a feeling, why a sound can open a flood of images, why the smallest touch can summon an entire lifetime. Your neurons remember how to feel. They do not just hold facts, they hold essence. You might think the brain is made of matter, but it is made just as much of space. Between every connection is a pause, a breath. That pause is possibility. It is the moment when the next choice can be made, when the next idea can form. In that space, your consciousness unfolds. Awareness lives in the silence between the sparks. It is there you sense, not think, who you are. Science calls it communication, but it is more like communion, an endless exchange between the parts of you that feel and the parts that reason, imagine, and remember. When neurons fire together, they grow closer, their connection strengthens, their voices blend more easily. This is how learning happens, through repetition, attention, and gentle persistence. What you practice in thought or emotion becomes the path your neurons walk most easily. It is the way habits form, and also the way freedom begins, because you can choose which paths to walk again. Think of it as a forest at night. The neurons are trees, and the impulses that pass between them are lanterns, swinging softly from branch to branch. The more often a lantern crosses the same trail, the clearer that trail becomes. Some trails grow thick with overuse, the anxious thought that loops, the fear that echoes. Others are new, tender, still forming the small moments of peace, gratitude, and forgiveness. Neuroplasticity is what allows the forest to change. You can choose where to walk, and the lanterns will follow. The more you walk the path of calm, the more easily your mind finds its way there. The neurons of your body extend beyond your head to some rest in your heart, some whisper in your gut, tiny networks that feel before they think. Your body and mind are not separate architectures. They are one continuous landscape, bridged by the rhythm of your nervous system. When your heart quickens with emotion, neurons are listening. When your stomach knots with worry, neurons are responding. Your thoughts ripple through your body like wind through grass. To calm the mind, you need only breathe. Each breath tells your neurons it is safe to rest, and slowly the inner light settles again. In every moment, your neurons make millions of choices. They decide which connections to keep, which to let fade, which to spark into life. This dance never stops. It is the most intricate ballet in existence, a choreography that no one directs, and yet it always finds its rhythm. You may not feel it, but it happens inside you constantly. Tiny electrical waves of becoming, rising and falling like tides of awareness. They carry your thoughts, but they are not bound by them. Even when you think of nothing, they move quietly, renewing, readying the mind for its next creation. There is a deep kindness in this. Your neurons do not judge your thoughts. They simply follow where attention flows. If you think often of calm, they grow calm. If you linger in gratitude, they build that warmth into your pathways. Your attention is the brush that paints your inner sky. So tonight, as you rest, you might imagine your neurons glowing softly, tiny golden lights flickering in rhythm with your breath. Each exhale smooths their movement. Each inhale feeds their glow. You are not separate from them. You are their song. And yet, despite their number, nearly 100 billion each, neuron holds the same quiet desire to connect. They reach, extend, and search, as if seeking meaning through togetherness. They remind you that connection is the foundation of growth. When you reach out to others, through kindness, through empathy, through shared silence, your neurons mirror that reaching. They strengthen the pathways of compassion, making it easier to feel seen, and easier to see others in return. In this way, your biology echoes your soul. Connection outside is built upon connection within. As you drift toward rest now, imagine yourself floating through that inner constellation, not as an observer, but as part of it. You are both the spark and the sky. Each neuron lights, and another responds. Like stars sending messages across light years, your brain does not grow dim when you sleep. It becomes softer, more fluid, more creative. It uses that time to weave the day's experiences into meaning, to polish understanding, to mend small fractures in your sense of self. Your dreams are part of that weaving threads that shimmer, fade, and rejoin the tapestry of who you are. When you awaken, you are subtly new. The neurons that whispered in the night have reshaped your mind, not through effort, but through grace. The thoughts you choose today will become tomorrow's pathways of light. You are the keeper of that light, its guardian, its student, its source. And as long as you are alive, your neurons will continue their quiet work, weaving the patterns of becoming. You do not need to guide them. You only need to listen, to trust that within the silence, something miraculous is always unfolding. There comes a moment each night when the world grows dim, and everything familiar, your room, your thoughts, your worries, begins to soften, as if wrapped in mist. You feel your body sink into stillness, and somewhere inside, a deeper stillness begins to bloom. This is not emptiness. It is the beginning of restoration. The gentle sculptor of your mind is about to awaken. Sleep is often mistaken for nothingness, a pause between one day and the next. But in truth, it is one of the most intricate acts of life. It is the mind's great reorganization, a time when the chaos of the day is gathered, sorted, and reshaped into harmony. As your consciousness loosens its grip, your brain slips into its quiet craft. It does not rest. It refines, it clears the clutter, strengthens the fragile bridges of memory, and releases the emotions your waking self could not yet untangle. You may not feel it, but beneath the veil of your dreams, your neurons are moving like sculptors' hands, chiseling, polishing, letting go. Some connections are deepened, some are gently dissolved, and in that sacred balance of keeping and clearing, clarity is born. This is the brain's nightly art, to sculpt silence into understanding. As you drift deeper into sleep, your brain waves slow and lengthen, like the ocean pulling back before dawn. The chatter quiets, the rhythms synchronize, and your inner world begins to hum in harmony. In this slow tide, cells begin their work of renewal. Glial cells, the caretakers of the brain, sweep away the remnants of the day, flushing out the metabolic dust left behind by thought and emotion. It is a cleansing unlike any other, an invisible housekeeping that makes way for new clarity. Your mind, even as it sleeps, is deeply awake in purpose. In the stillness of deep sleep, the walls of your neurons relax ever so slightly, allowing the brain's fluid to flow more freely, washing through every crevice, rinsing away what no longer serves. It is as if a gentle tide rolls through your skull, whispering, "Let go, let go." You may have thought healing requires effort, but here it requires surrender. In rest, your mind learns its greatest wisdom, that renewal often happens when you do nothing at all. And then, as the night deepens further, another rhythm awakens, the dance of dreams. Your eyes move beneath their lids, your breath shifts, and your brain begins to light again, not in the patterns of the waking world, but in the language of imagination. Dreams are not random illusions. They are the whispers of the sculptor, rearranging memory into meaning. Here, the brain rehearses, revisits, and rewrites. It experiments safely, testing emotions, trying possibilities, making sense of what waking life could not. A conversation that left you uneasy, a memory that felt heavy, a question that remained unanswered. in the theater of dream. They find resolution. Your mind rehearses tomorrow before you arrive there. Neuroscientists sometimes call this process consolidation. But it is more than a biological act. It is emotional alchemy. Facts turn into understanding. Experience turns into wisdom. And chaos turns into calm. When you wake in the morning with a strange sense of peace, even if you can't remember your dream, it's because your sculptor finished a piece of its art. It carved a new pathway, smoothed the edges of an old one, and left your inner world slightly more whole than before. You may not realize it, but sleep is not a single state. It is a journey through landscapes of mind. You descend through layers, from light dozing to deep rest, and then to the vivid realm of REM, where imagination reigns. Each stage serves a different kind of healing. In deep sleep, your body restores itself. In dream sleep, your emotions find their rhythm. Together, they weave the fabric of resilience. Without sleep, your brain cannot renew. It becomes cluttered, like a workshop too full to move in. But when you give it rest, you give it room to breathe again. There is beauty in knowing that while you surrender to unconsciousness, something wiser inside continues its work. It reviews, refines, repairs. It rewires your neural map with the precision of moonlight carving the edge of water. Sleep is your brain's most ancient teacher, showing you that letting go is not the same as losing control. It is trusting the process that exists beyond your awareness. When you release, your neurons find each other again. When you surrender, your inner architecture strengthens. Even your emotions depend on this rhythm. After sleepless nights, the mind becomes brittle, reactive. But after deep rest, it softens. The amygdala, the brain's center for emotion, quiets its alarm, and the prefrontal cortex, your seat of reason and calm, rises gently back into balance. This is why, after good sleep, the world feels kinder. Colors seem lighter, problems smaller, and your heart more open to grace. Your brain has been sculpting silence into peace. As you breathe now, perhaps slowly, imagine your neurons glowing with silver light. Some are dimming, others brightening, like lanterns changing watch along a midnight path. Each flicker marks a thought being filed away, a memory being softened, a burden being lifted. Your brain keeps only what helps you grow. The rest, it releases into the gentle dark. You are not forgetting. You are clearing space to remember what matters most. There is something holy about this nightly ritual, this trust between your waking and sleeping selves. Your body rests, your consciousness drifts, and the unseen sculptor continues its patient, loving craft. It works in silence, so that you may wake renewed. When you open your eyes in the morning, you are not quite the same as when you closed them. Your mind has reshaped itself, lighter, clearer, more connected. Think of the night as a forge of light. In its fire, your brain tempers memory into wisdom, pain into perspective, confusion into calm. The work is invisible, but its results are woven into every thought, every decision, every breath of the day that follows. Sleep does not steal time. It returns it to you, refined, reorganized, and meaningful. Even when dreams seem strange or unsettling, remember, they too are part of the sculptor's hand. They bring hidden thoughts into view so that they can be softened, reshaped, or released. They remind you that healing is not always tidy. Sometimes it's abstract, emotional, wild, but always it leads you back to balance. As you drift into your own sleep tonight, imagine the sculptor waiting patiently, tools in hand. It does not rush, it simply waits for you to rest. Then, quietly, it begins its work, smoothing the rough edges of thought, carving fear into understanding, and polishing gratitude until it glows. Your only task is to trust that stillness is not idleness, that doing nothing is a sacred act of renewal. Soon you will drift beyond words, beyond awareness, into the soft field where dreams take root, and there your neurons will dance. Again, not to the rhythm of worry or thought, but to the rhythm of becoming. Every spark, every wave, is the sculptor whispering, "You are being remade." And when morning comes, you will open your eyes to a quieter mind, a clearer heart, and a self that is still you, but softer, wiser, freer. Close your eyes and imagine your mind as a wide, slow-moving river. Its surface glimmers with reflections of the past moments, faces, feelings, each one rippling gently before drifting downstream. This river is your memory. It does not stand still, it flows. It carries what you've seen, felt, and loved, and it carries what you are ready to release. You often think of memory as a library, a place of shelves and storage, but it is not so rigid. Memory is water, fluid, ever-changing, shaped by the terrain of your life. Some moments stay clear and vivid, like reflections that never fade. Others sink into the depths, their edges softened by time. And some are carried away entirely, making space for new streams to form. Forgetting is not loss, it is movement, the river's way of staying alive. Deep inside your brain, millions of neurons form networks to hold your experiences. Each one fires when you remember, their patterns shimmering like sunlight through moving water. But these networks are not permanent. They shift, dissolve, and reconnect, always remaking themselves with the rhythm of your days. Every time you recall a memory, you recreate it, slightly changed. Like dipping your hand into the river, the water you touch is never the same, yet the flow remains familiar. This is how your brain keeps your story alive, not by freezing it in place, but by letting it evolve with you. There is grace in this impermanence. It means that no moment, however heavy, must stay forever. Even the memories that ache, the ones that echo in the night, are softened by time and change. The neurons that once held pain can learn to hold understanding instead. The feelings that once stung can fade into gentler shades of wisdom. The river does not erase, it transforms. Sometimes, though, you fear forgetting the fading of faces, voices, laughter. It can feel like losing part of yourself. But memory is not meant to be kept whole. It is meant to breathe. Just as a river must flow to stay clear, your mind must let go to stay free. When you release an old memory, you make space for the present to arrive. When you forget, you are not breaking the past, you are allowing it to rest. Forgetting is not failure. It is forgiveness in motion. Each night, as you sleep, your brain revisits the day's memories. Some are gently woven into long-term storage, their patterns strengthened. Others are allowed to dissolve. This nightly choosing is quiet wisdom, a balancing of what to hold and what to let fade. The hippocampus, the part of your brain that tends memory, works like a tender gardener, deciding which experiences are worth planting deeply, and which are meant to drift away like seeds in the wind. In this way, sleep becomes both archive and release. you awaken lighter, clearer, a mind refreshed by flow. The act of remembering is not passive, it is creation. Each time you recall a moment, you reopen the pattern of neurons that hold it. You paint over it slightly with your present understanding, and so it changes, subtly, but forever. This is why old memories sometimes feel different, softer, more distant, less defined. You are not losing them. You are rewriting them through the lens of who you are now. Your mind is a storyteller, always editing, refining, and rediscovering. The story never ends. It simply becomes more true to you. Think of those you've loved and lost. Their faces may blur with time, but their presence lingers differently now. Not in sharp outlines, but in warmth, in intuition, in your way of being. That too is memory. It does not always need words or pictures. Sometimes it lives as essence, a quiet current beneath thought. They have not vanished. They have become part of your river's flow. Your brain protects you, too. When a memory brings too much pain, it softens it, hiding it behind mist. This is not weakness. It is the mind's mercy. It gives you time to heal, time to return when you are ready. And when you do, the memory is lighter, transformed, purified by distance and reflection. This is the hidden kindness of forgetting. If you listen quietly within, you might sense that some memories are calling for release. They've served their purpose, taught their lessons, shared their meaning. Now they long to return to the river. You can let them go. You do not need to carry every stone, every echo, every what if. To remember wisely is to know when to release. In your brain, plasticity ensures this natural balance. Unused neural connections grow faint, strong ones flourish. It is how your mind stays efficient, adaptable, alive. If every moment stayed vivid, you would drown in your own past. Forgetting keeps you buoyant. It clears the surface for new experiences, new understanding, new love. Your brain is not erasing you. It is protecting your future. Sometimes, in meditation or stillness, a long-forgotten memory may rise again, a scent, a voice, a moment of childhood sunlight. It floats briefly to the surface, reminding you how layered you are. That memory has not been lost. It was simply resting. Your river knows where every drop lies. Nothing meaningful ever truly disappears. It just changes form, becoming part of the depth beneath. You might think of memory as the soul's rhythm, the ebb and flow between holding and releasing. Each heartbeat marks both presence and passing. Each breath holds both remembering and letting go. Your mind mirrors the rhythm of life itself, gathering, releasing, renewing. When you sit by a real river, listen closely. That sound is the same music that flows through your neural tides. You are not meant to keep everything. You are meant to evolve. Every moment you live becomes water. Some stays close, some drifts far. But all of it nourishes the same sea within you. Even the moments you thought were wasted, the mistakes, the tears, the laughter, they've already done their work. They've carved channels of compassion, paths of resilience, depths of wisdom. You do not need to hold the form to keep the meaning. As night falls, your memories return to their riverbed. They swirl softly, rearranging, flowing toward understanding. You rest, and the sculptor from the night before continues its quiet art. This time as a weaver, braiding memory and forgetting into a single thread of peace. When morning comes, you will remember what you need, and what you don't will have found its way home. your river will continue to flow, clear, calm, alive, and so will you. Every day your brain learns something new, not always in the way you think. Learning isn't only memorizing facts or mastering skills. It happens in whispers, in the gentle shifts that occur when you notice a new pattern, when you respond differently, when you feel something that wasn't there before. Each of these moments is a quiet rewiring, a dance, subtle, ongoing, alive, inside your skull. Billions of neurons stretch and reach, each one like a delicate dancer, extending an arm, a branch, a connection. When you learn, these dancers find new partners. They form new patterns, spinning in synchrony, their rhythm guided by experience. This is neuroplasticity in motion, your brain's ability to change, to sculpt itself in response to living. No lesson is wasted. Every thought leaves a trace, a faint footprint across the soft clay of your mind. Over time, repetition deepens the print, turning curiosity into skill, hesitation into grace. Think of when you first learned to walk. Your tiny feet uncertain, your balance fragile. Each wobble sent signals to your brain: adjust, correct, try again. And so it did. Neurons built new bridges, pathways that learned the rhythm of motion. Every step strengthened the connection, until one day, walking no longer needed thought. It had become a song your body remembered. Learning is not just in the mind. It is written through your whole being. When you learn something new today, a phrase in another language, a melody, a kindness, your brain lights up like a constellation. Synapses hum with energy, neurons fire in fresh choreography, and over time, that dance becomes smoother, more confident, more natural. You might not see it, but your brain is always rehearsing. Even as you rest, it replays the steps, refines the sequence, perfects the dance. Sometimes, learning feels uncomfortable, a tug of confusion, a sense of not knowing enough. But that discomfort is sacred. It means your mind is stretching, forming new paths through unfamiliar terrain. The old connections resist. They are comfortable, but learning requires letting go of what no longer serves, so new bridges can form. It is in the uncertainty that growth begins. Every time you struggle to understand, you are rewiring possibility. The brain loves novelty. It thrives on discovery, on experiences that awaken curiosity. When you step into something new, travel, conversation, wonder, your neurons awaken from routine. They reach for new partners, seeking harmony in the unknown. This is why variety heals stagnation. A new sound, a new scent, a new view, each one carves new lines of connection. Your mind is not meant to live in sameness. It is a dancer that grows stronger by moving through new rhythms of life. Sometimes you learn through joy. A laugh shared with someone you love cements connection faster than 1,000 lessons. Sometimes you learn through pain. The ache of loss or failure etches deep understanding in your brain's folds. Both are forms of sculpting. Both reshape you. Both are sacred movements in your inner dance. Your brain does not judge experience as good or bad. It only listens. It listens to emotion, to pattern, to repetition. It learns what you attend to, what you feed with focus and feeling. So be mindful of what you repeat. Every thought you revisit strengthens a pathway. Every belief you rehearse becomes easier to access. Even worry is a kind of learning, a pattern the brain tries to perfect. But just as you once learned fear, you can learn calm. You can teach your neurons to rest, to respond to the world with patience. Repetition is a sculptor. It will carve whatever shape you give it. Imagine learning as a waltz between two partners, your neurons and your awareness. Every movement you notice, every mistake you forgive, every breath you take while paying attention, that is the rhythm of change. You are not the same person you were yesterday. You never are. Even reading these words is reshaping tiny pathways in your brain, altering the way tomorrow's thoughts will flow. Learning is not a destination. It is the pulse of being alive. There are moments when learning feels invisible, when you practice and still feel like nothing is changing. But beneath the surface, your neurons are busy weaving. They are strengthening, reinforcing, laying the invisible foundation of skill. Then, suddenly, one day, what once seemed impossible feels effortless. That is the quiet miracle of persistence. Your brain learns in silence before it sings aloud. Even memories join this dance. Each time you recall a fact or experience, your brain replays the pattern, refreshing the connection. If you stop recalling it, the pattern fades, not from neglect, but to make room for new choreography. This is why practice matters. Every repetition sends a signal. This is important. Keep it, and the brain listens. Sometimes, learning is not about adding more, but unlearning what no longer serves you. Old beliefs, outdated fears, habits that once protected you but now hold you still, they, too, live as pathways in the brain. To unlearn is to gently dim those paths, to stop walking them so often, until they fade back into quiet soil. Then new ones bloom, ones made of courage, of openness, of peace. Unlearning is as sacred as learning. It is how your mind makes room to grow. When you experience something profound, love, awe, or deep reflection, your brain releases chemicals that enhance connection. Dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin. These are the music that fuels the dance. They tell your neurons, this moment matters. And so, the pattern strengthens. It's why emotion anchors memory, and why meaning accelerates learning. The brain learns best when the heart is awake. Even as you sleep, the dance continues. Your brain replays the day's movements, strengthening some, dissolving others. It practices what you struggled with, perfecting it in dreams. You may wake with sudden clarity, a solution, a melody, a realization. That is the gift of the sleeping mind, still dancing when you are at rest. In truth, every cell of your being learns. Every experience whispers. Remember this, reshape that. Your muscles learn balance. Your heart learns trust. Your spirit learns patience. And your brain, faithful and fluid, weaves them all together into the masterpiece that is you. Learning is not a staircase. It is a spiral. You return again and again to familiar lessons. Each time with deeper understanding. Growth is not about reaching higher. It is about circling inward, finding more truth at each turn. One day, perhaps years from now, you will realize how much your mind has changed. The fears that once guided you will seem small. The skills you struggled to grasp will feel natural. The thoughts that once burdened you will have softened. This is the invisible art of neuroplasticity. It does not rush, it does not force. It dances gently, endlessly, faithfully Your brain learns as you live, reshapes as you grow, rehearses your resilience until it becomes second nature. And as you rest tonight, your neurons will continue their quiet choreography, tiny sparks, bridging silence and signal, each one a step in your eternal dance of becoming. You need not try to learn right now. You already are. Close your eyes and let your mind drift, knowing that within the darkness, your brain is still learning how to bring you light. There are moments in life when everything feels fractured, a loss, a heartbreak, a silence too heavy to name. In those moments, you might believe something inside you has broken beyond repair. But your brain, quiet, patient, faithful, knows otherwise. It knows how to mend. It has always known. Inside the darkness of your skull, a slow renewal unfolds. When pain strikes, when sorrow lingers, when memories cut too deeply, your neurons begin the work of healing. Not loudly, not all at once, but gently, cell by cell, spark by spark. It is the tender miracle of neuroplasticity, the brain's way of saying, you can begin again. Every time you choose kindness over bitterness, every time you rest instead of resist, every time you breathe through what hurts, you are teaching your neurons a new way to connect. Healing is not forgetting what happened. It is learning to grow around it. Imagine a forest after a fire. At first, it seems ruined, blackened trunks, silence, smoke. But beneath the ash, roots still hold life. And quietly, new green begins to emerge. Your brain heals the same way. When trauma or loss sears through it, it may take time before the first signs of renewal appear. But deep within, new branches are forming. Fresh pathways begin to sprout, seeking light where there was once only flame. Healing is not the return to what was. It is the creation of what can be. When a neuron is injured, neighboring cells sense its silence. They send out signals, tiny chemical messages of support. Grow this way, rebuild, reconnect, and so the work begins. Axons reach across the gap, dendrites extend, synapses seek new partners, slowly new connections form. The network reorganizes itself, learning to carry the signal along a different path. Your brain does not give up when hurt. It adapts. Even emotional wounds leave traces that the brain can repair. When grief or anxiety echo too loudly, they create patterns of overactivity, loops that keep the pain alive. But through mindfulness, rest, and gentle experience, these loops begin to loosen. Each calm breath sends a signal, safety. Each moment of stillness reminds your brain it can rest, and little by little, new connections grow in place of the old pathways of peace where once there was storm. This is not imagined. It is biology, woven with grace. The prefrontal cortex, your seat of reflection, learns to soothe the amygdala, the keeper of fear. Through practice, through patience, through kindness, the voice of panic grows quieter, and the voice of wisdom grows strong. This is emotional neuroplasticity, the gentle retraining of the self to feel safe again. Your thoughts can wound, yes, but they can also heal. Each compassionate thought is a small repair, a stitch in the torn fabric of the mind. Healing does not erase the past. It transforms your relationship with it. When you revisit a painful memory with gentleness, your brain begins to reframe it. Neurons that once fired with fear now fire with understanding. The memory remains, but its edges soften, its weight lessens. The wound becomes wisdom. Sleep, too, is a healer's hand. Each night, as you drift into the rhythm of dreams, your brain cleans itself. It washes away toxins through gentle waves of cerebrospinal fluid, clearing what is no longer needed. It strengthens healthy connections and prunes the ones that keep you tangled in distress. You awaken lighter, not because the pain has vanished, but because your mind has begun its quiet work of reorganization. Rest is not escape. It is recovery. Even when injury is physical, a stroke, a trauma, a loss of function, the brain searches for new ways to move, to speak, to remember. Other regions step in, taking on tasks they were never meant to hold. Neurons reroute, reassign, reinvent. It is as though your mind, refusing to be defeated, redesigns itself to keep you whole. You are living proof that healing is not a miracle. It is nature's plan. Your brain learns healing through repetition. Each act of calm, each gentle word, each slow breath, they are not small. They are instructions to your neural network. Build peace here. When you forgive, you release the circuitry of resentment. When you practice gratitude, you strengthen the pathways of joy. When you allow yourself to rest in silence, you activate your parasympathetic system, your inner balm, your body's whisper of safety and repair. Healing begins not with control, but with surrender. There will be days when healing feels like standing still, when you wonder if anything is changing. But beneath your awareness, your neurons are at work. They do not rush. They listen, adjust, adapt. They lay new tracks through the terrain of your inner world. Even silence, even stillness, even tears, they are signals the brain uses to understand what needs tending. You heal not only in joy, but in the honesty of being exactly where you are. The power of connection heals too. When you speak your pain aloud to someone who listens, your brain releases oxytocin, the molecule of trust. It softens your heart rate, calms your fear response, reminds your neurons you are not alone. Love, even in its simplest forms, is neurological medicine. Each smile, each touch, each shared breath is a small rewiring toward safety. Healing is rarely solitary. It is often shared. You can help your mind heal by giving it gentle challenges, a new song to learn, a walk through an unfamiliar street, a habit that nourishes rather than numbs. Novelty sparks new growth. Each new experience builds resilience, teaching the brain to adapt again and again and again. This is the miracle of being alive. You are designed to recover, even in the hardest times. When you cannot see progress, remember, healing is a process of trust. The forest regrows in silence. The tide returns at its own pace. And your mind, no matter how wounded, is always moving toward wholeness. You are not broken. You are rebuilding. You are not weak. You are rewiring. Each day that you choose gentleness over judgment is a victory of biology and soul. Close your eyes now. Feel the quiet pulse behind your forehead, the soft hum within your chest. That is life continuing its work. Neurons whispering, you are safe now. Synapses humming, you are healing. The mind remembering what it means to rest. You are not who you were yesterday. You are already becoming something stronger, softer, wiser. The healing mind is not an idea. It is you, living proof that even after darkness, the brain learns light again. Each night, when you close your eyes and surrender to darkness, something extraordinary begins. You may think you are resting, and you are, but your brain is not asleep in the way you imagine. It is designing, it is creating, it is dreaming. Dreams are not just wandering stories. They are architecture, blueprints drawn by your sleeping mind. As your body grows still, your brain becomes an artist of renewal, gently reorganizing the experiences of your waking hours, turning chaos into pattern, memory into meaning. Dreams are the bridge between knowing and forgetting, between what you have lived and what you are yet to become. In the quiet of REM sleep, your brain lights up with activity as if it were awake, but freed from the weight of the world. Neurons fire in wild symphonies. Memories float upward. Scenes from your day blur into symbols. Your emotional centers glow, and your mind begins to weave. It does not use logic here. It uses intuition, color, metaphor, emotion. You enter a landscape where science becomes poetry, where the brain rebuilds itself through imagination. During dreaming, the hippocampus, that gentle librarian of memory, reviews the stories of your day. It decides which to store deeply and which to release like petals on a river. The amygdala, your keeper of emotion, takes these memories and softens their edges, so that fear becomes wisdom and sorrow becomes song. This is why dreams can heal. They are the mind's rehearsal for peace. Sometimes your dreams are vivid, a flight above glowing cities, a reunion with someone long gone, a place you've never seen but somehow know. These are not random creations. They are your brain's way of testing new connections, rehearsing new possibilities. They are cognitive experiments written in light, even when a dream feels strange or illogical. Your neurons are hard at work, reorganizing the self into coherence. The dream may fade, but the rewiring remains. Think of your brain as a quiet architect who works while you sleep, sketching new designs for your inner world. Each night, it walks through the unfinished rooms of your memory, rearranging the furniture, repairing the walls, opening windows where you had closed them by morning. You wake to a space subtly changed, a mind renewed, a little more open to light. You may not remember the architect's plans, but you will feel their effect. Clarity.com. Readiness to begin again. Dreams also teach through emotion. When you dream of falling, your brain is rehearsing how to let go. When you dream of flight, it is exploring the idea of freedom. When you dream of those you miss, it is giving you one more chance to feel connection, to soften the ache of absence. Every image carries a whisper of truth. Dreams speak in symbols, because symbols can hold what words cannot. There are times when dreams frighten you, when your mind revisits danger or grief. These, too, have purpose. They are emotional rehearsals, safe simulations of fear and courage. Your brain replays the pain so it can learn to respond differently, to build resilience instead of avoidance. Nightmares are not punishments. They are repair work. They are the brain's attempt to integrate what still feels unfinished. Even fear becomes a lesson if you meet it with gentleness. When you dream, your sense of time dissolves. Minutes can feel like days. Places merge, faces change, rules vanish. This is your brain experimenting beyond the limits of waking reality. It allows creativity to wander, ideas to cross boundaries, solutions to bloom in unexpected ways. That sudden insight you wake with, the answer that arrives out of nowhere, is not magic. It is the residue of dreaming. The subconscious has done its work, and it gives you the result upon waking. Scientists once thought dreams were meaningless noise, random firings of a tired brain. But now we know they are the mind's private workshop, where memory, emotion, and imagination collaborate to restore balance. They file, rearrange, discard, and design. They turn experience into wisdom. Dreaming is not a waste of time. It is the maintenance of the soul. Even animals dream. Cats twitch their paws as if chasing unseen prey. Birds rustle their wings mid-sleep. Their brains, too, are rehearsing, strengthening patterns, refining instincts, keeping life's rhythm in motion. You share this inheritance. Dreaming is nature's universal language of renewal. The deeper you sleep, the more complete the restoration becomes. Your brain clears toxins, restores neurotransmitters, resets emotional thresholds. It is as if every night you are born anew, a mind freshly calibrated for consciousness. Sleep is not absence. It is sacred work in the dark. And yet, not all dreams are remembered. Most vanish at dawn, their details slipping through the cracks of waking thought. But that does not mean they are lost. Their purpose is already complete. You don't need to recall the dream for its architecture to stand. Like invisible scaffolding, it supports the mind's quiet structure. Every dream leaves a trace, a small alignment, a gentle repair, a whisper of renewal. Sometimes, upon waking, you feel a strange peace you cannot explain, as if something heavy has lifted, though nothing in your outer world has changed. That is the subtle miracle of dreaming. Your inner world has been rearranged, the burdens redistributed, the story rewritten in kindness. You wake lighter because the night has done its work. Dreaming is also creation. It is where the brain rehearses imagination itself, where artists find visions, scientists discover insight, and the ordinary soul learns to wonder again in dreams. The boundaries between self and universe blur. You become the sky, the sea, the star, the stranger. You dissolve and return whole. Your brain is practicing empathy here, learning how to feel beyond the edges of self. Dreams remind you that you are not confined by the waking world. You are infinite in potential, and your mind knows it well. When you drift to sleep tonight, imagine the architect stirring. Doors creak open. Light shifts across the hallways of your thoughts. Your neurons begin their nocturnal design, sketching bridges between past and future, rewriting blueprints in the soft ink of night. You do not need to supervise the work. You only need to trust it. The dream will do its work quietly. The mind will heal as it imagines. And when you rise, you will feel a little more whole, your inner house renewed. Close your eyes. Let the river of thought slow to stillness. Breathe softly, as if your breath were painting moonlight across the dark. Your dreams are waiting not to escape life, but to rebuild it from within. Let the architects begin their silent craft. Let the blueprints unfold. You have earned this renewal. You are already becoming light. You wake in the stillness of morning, and before you even open your eyes, you are aware that you are here. that there is a you who feels, thinks, and witnesses. This awareness is ancient and alive. It is not your thoughts. It is the space that holds them. The quiet observer within you is the mind's most extraordinary creation, the self that knows itself. Self-awareness is the mirror your brain built to see its own reflection. It allows you to pause, to step back from the rush of reaction, and to simply notice. It is the moment you hear your own thought and whisper, "Ah, I see you." That whisper changes everything, because each time you notice, instead of being swept away, your brain rewires toward calm, patience, and clarity. Neuroscientists call this metacognition, the mind thinking about itself. It happens through delicate networks across your cortex, especially the prefrontal regions, where reflection and empathy meet. But you don't feel it as science. You feel it as presence, a slow, steady returning to yourself. This awareness is not born of effort. It arises when you stop running from your own thoughts and gently turn toward them, like holding a trembling bird until it remembers it is safe. Your thoughts come and go, like waves meeting the shore. But awareness is the ocean beneath, vast, calm, unchanging. Each wave may carry a story, a memory, a regret, a hope, but when you remember that you are the ocean, not the wave, you begin to rest in peace. Your brain begins to learn this too. With each act of mindful observation, your neural circuits shift. Fear quiets, impulse softens, wisdom grows. Self-awareness is not just understanding. It is neurological grace. Inside your brain, awareness shapes structure. Each time you pause before reacting, you strengthen pathways of regulation. Each time you breathe through anger, you calm the amygdala's storm. Each time you meet pain with curiosity instead of resistance, you activate compassion first for yourself, then for the world. The mirror of awareness teaches the brain new harmony. It turns reactivity into reflection and confusion into clarity. You are not just living. You are continually sculpting your own mind. To be self-aware is to live twice, once in experience, and again in reflection. It is the pause between thought and action, between emotion and response. It is what allows you to choose instead of react. Animals live in the river of experience. Humans can stand at its edge and watch the current. This, too, is the essence of consciousness, to see the flow, and to know you are not it yet. This awareness can sometimes ache, because when the mirror grows clear, you see not only beauty, but also your shadow, your patterns, your fears, your flaws. Do not turn away. This is sacred work. The act of seeing is the beginning of healing. When light touches what was hidden, the mind begins to reorder itself in honesty. Your neurons mirror your courage. They prune away denial and strengthen truth. This is how wisdom is born, not from perfection, but from patient observation, meditation, reflection, even gentle journaling. These are not acts of analysis, but of intimacy with your own mind. When you observe your breath, you train awareness to stay present. When you observe your thoughts without judgment, you teach your brain to trust calm. Over time, the neural highways of presence widen. The prefrontal cortex strengthens. The amygdala quiets, and emotional storms lose their pull. Your awareness becomes your anchor. Even when the sea grows wild, you can rest in the quiet beneath the waves. Sometimes, self-awareness feels like loneliness, as if you are standing outside yourself, watching. But it is not isolation. It is perspective. You are not leaving life. You are learning how to meet it more deeply. Awareness gives you room to breathe, to feel without drowning, to think without being trapped. It does not erase pain. It transforms how you hold it, like light passing through glass. Suffering becomes something you can see through. When you observe yourself with compassion, the brain learns safety. When you observe with harshness, it learns fear. So let your awareness be gentle, a soft lantern, not a spotlight. Notice your thoughts the way you would notice clouds, shifting shapes in a vast, forgiving sky. You do not need to control them. You only need to watch them drift. The more kindly you watch, the more the clouds dissolve into light. Your sense of self is not a fixed sculpture. It is a river of stories. The brain tells them to maintain identity, to organize experience. But when awareness deepens, you realize the storyteller and the story are not the same. You can step out of the narrative. You can rest as the witness, calm, timeless, awake. This recognition is liberation. And as it happens, your neural networks of self-reference begin to quiet. Your mind expands beyond the eye into connection, into stillness. When you practice presence, simply being with what is, your brain synchronizes in harmony. The heart slows, the breath deepens, and the mind's inner noise fades in that silence. A soft intelligence emerges, a sense that you and the universe are not separate at all. Your awareness merges with everything it observes. It is the mirror and the reflection, the watcher and the watched. In this union, the brain experiences awe, a state that both humbles and heals. To cultivate awareness is to cultivate peace. You cannot stop thoughts from coming, but you can stop believing every one of them. You cannot change every feeling, but you can meet them with kindness over time. This gentle practice reshapes not only the mind, but the life it creates. The world becomes less sharp, less hurried, more like a slow breathing presence in which you belong completely. Your awareness is the silent teacher within you. It asks for nothing but your attention, and when you give it, it gives everything back: clarity, compassion, calm. Each time you look inward, you polish the mirror. Each time you forgive yourself, the reflection grows clearer. Self-awareness is not the end of seeking. It is the beginning of peace. Tonight, as you drift toward sleep, let your awareness rest on itself, the quiet watcher within, the soft pulse of being. No analysis, no effort, just presence. Let your breath mirror the rhythm of the night. Let your thoughts move as clouds across a moonlit sky. Let your mind see itself, and in that seeing, let it heal. The mirror within needs no perfection, only honesty, only light. And as you close your eyes, your awareness remains silent, spacious, endless, the calm witness to the dream of being. There are moments when you sit beside someone, saying nothing, doing nothing, and yet something within you shifts. Your breathing slows, your heartbeat steadies, and your mind feels quietly held. This is connection. It is not loud or dramatic. It is a resonance, one nervous system softly tuning itself to another. Your brain was never meant to live alone. From the first heartbeat in the womb, it has been listening to rhythm, to voice, to presence. The cells that make you who you are were shaped in relationship. your neurons learned safety through another's calm gaze and learned love through another's warmth. Even now, in adulthood, your mind continues this symphony. Every bond, every conversation, every shared silence plays a note that echoes within your neural song. There is a delicate dance called neural synchrony. When two people connect deeply through empathy, attention, or love, their brains begin to align. Patterns of firing start to mirror each other. Waves of activity rise and fall together, as if two instruments were tuning to the same key. This is not poetry. It is biology made beautiful. It is your brain saying, I feel you. I understand you. Connection is not only emotional, it is physiological. In moments of genuine empathy, your mirror neurons come alive. They are tiny messengers that translate another's expression into your own inner feeling. When you see someone smile, your brain simulates that joy. When you witness pain, you feel a trace of it in your chest. This is why kindness feels natural. Your biology is wired for compassion. The self and the other are not separate in the language of the brain. They are overlapping melodies. Think of the last time someone listened, truly listened, without interruption or advice. Remember how it felt, the safety, the space, the sense of being seen in that moment. Your stress hormones lowered, your prefrontal cortex calmed, and your heart released oxytocin, the molecule of trust. It is small, invisible, and yet it carries the weight of every comfort you've ever known. Your brain blooms in the presence of understanding. It reorganizes itself around warmth. Connection is medicine. It strengthens immune responses, reduces inflammation, and nurtures emotional resilience. Loneliness, on the other hand, creates static in the brain. The stress circuits stay lit, the heart works harder, and the world feels colder. But even a single kind exchange, a smile, a shared breath, a word of care can begin to retune the system. Your mind, like music, responds instantly to harmony. The brain's social circuitry in the prefrontal cortex, the insula, the anterior cingulate, is like a symphony hall. Every relationship you build writes its melody there. When you are held in love, dopamine flows softly, serotonin steadies, and oxytocin hums its quiet reassurance. These are the brain's harmonics of connection, chemical notes that whisper, you are safe, you belong. Empathy is not weakness. It is shared intelligence. When you hold space for another's emotion, your brain learns to map experience beyond itself. This broadens the neural landscape, making you wiser, more adaptable, more capable of love, compassion. 2 is not passive. It is active awareness, the heart's decision to remain open in a world that can close easily. Every time you choose it, you strengthen the networks that unite you with life itself. Even silence between two people can be music. When you sit quietly beside someone in pain, your bodies synchronize in subtle ways, your heartbeats, your breath, your brain waves gently meeting in rhythm. No words needed. The nervous system understands presence. It knows when it is not alone. And in that knowing, healing begins. When you look into another's eyes, you are not just seeing, you are being seen. The human gaze is a bridge between two inner worlds. It activates neural pathways of recognition and trust. It tells the mind, you exist, you matter. Connection, then, is the mirror that helps the brain know itself. Without it, the self becomes a shadow. With it, the self becomes luminous. Your relationships are not just emotional experiences. They are constant acts of neuroplasticity. Each interaction reshapes pathways of expectation, teaching the brain what love feels like, what safety sounds like, what kindness means. When you forgive, neurons rewire toward peace. When you listen, your mind learns patience. When you love, you build resilience into your own biology. Every act of connection is a quiet neurological renovation. Even your connection to nature is part of this symphony. When you walk beneath trees, your breathing syncs with the wind. When you listen to the sea, your brain's waves slow to match its rhythm. When sunlight touches your skin, serotonin hums a song of contentment. You are not separate from the living world. Your neurons are tuned to its frequencies. You are a part of its music, a note in the great harmony of existence. And connection does not require perfection. It asks only for presence, to be fully with another, without judgment, without hurry, is to let your nervous systems remember what they were designed for. Trust, belonging. Even one moment of true connection can echo through the brain for days, reminding it that harmony is possible. You can practice neuroharmony in small ways. A hand placed gently on your own heart when you feel alone. A deep breath shared with the air around you. A quiet acknowledgement of another's humanity, even in passing. These moments reweave the web of connection. They tell the brain that it is part of something larger, a symphony that never ends. Connection, at its core, is remembrance. The mind remembering its music, the body remembering its rhythm, the heart remembering its openness. When you love, you heal. When you are loved, you grow. When you forgive, you free the song that was waiting to play. And slowly, quietly, the world feels in tune again. As you drift toward sleep, imagine this symphony continuing, millions of neurons whispering in time with the hearts of others. The sound is soft, like wind through leaves, like ocean waves that never end. You are part of it, not a separate instrument, but a note woven into the music of everything living. Feel that harmony. Let it hold you. Let it remind you. You are connected. You are safe. You are loved. And even in dreams, your brain continues to hum the quiet song of belonging. The night begins to thin. Shadows soften. Light, faint at first, brushes the edges of your thoughts. Your body stirs, and somewhere deep within, your brain begins its gentle awakening. Not a jolt, not an abrupt command, but a blossoming, a quiet unfolding of consciousness. This is the dawn within, the moment when your inner world opens its eyes as the first rays of morning reach you. Your mind begins to dance between worlds, the world of dreams dissolving, the world of wakefulness returning your thalamus. That ancient gatekeeper starts to reopen its doors, allowing light, sound, and touch to flow once more into awareness. Neurons awaken in slow ripples, like petals unfolding to the sun. The symphony of consciousness resumes its morning rehearsal. Every sense, every thought, returns to its place in the grand orchestra of being. This is no small miracle after a night of deep restoration, of memory weaving, toxin clearing, and emotional repair. Your brain rises renewed, as though it has polished its own windows to let the world back in. The glymphatic system has done its quiet work, flushing away the debris of thought. Your hippocampus has stored the lessons of yesterday. Your cortex has reorganized the story of who you are. And now, as you awaken, your mind greets itself clearer, lighter, more whole. Morning is not only a shift in light, it is a transformation of rhythm. The brain's chemistry tilts. Melatonin, the messenger of night, steps back into silence. Cortisol rises softly, not as stress, but as awakening, a signal to the cells that it is time to begin again. Your body warms, your breathing deepens, your heart hums a little faster. Life stirs beneath your skin. You are not waking to the world. You are waking with it. The birds outside are not just singing, they are synchronizing your biology. Their song entrains your circadian rhythm, helping your internal clock align with dawn. The light that touches your eyes travels directly to the suprachiasmatic nucleus, the brain's inner timekeeper. With each photon, it whispers, "You are here. It is morning. Begin again." Your cells listen. Your mind listens. The whole of you begins to glow. The awakening brain is a garden after rain. It has absorbed, repaired, and released through the night. Now, in the fresh light of day, it grows new shoots of thought, new blossoms of understanding. This is why mornings often bring clarity, because the night has cleared space for insight to bloom, even silence. After sleep feels sacred, a pause between what was and what will be. You have been renewed in the dark. And now the light reveals your quiet transformation as consciousness strengthens. Your sense of self reassembles like pieces of glass gathering into a single reflection. The prefrontal cortex hums, awake, ready to plan, to imagine, to create. The sensory systems open like windows. Memory returns, gently filling the room with familiarity. And you, the observer, the dreamer, the thinker, return home to your body, to the world, to this moment. The dawn is not just outside. It is within you. Some mornings feel heavy, your thoughts slow, your heart still half in shadow. But even then, the renewal is there, quietly at work. The brain does not rush its awakening. It moves like the tide, rising in its own rhythm, balancing the chemistry of rest and readiness. Be patient with your mornings. You are not lazy. You are still unfolding. Awakening, like healing, is not something you force. It is something you allow as you open your eyes. Your brain begins to predict the day, drawing upon its vast map of memories and emotions. It imagines what might come, prepares responses, sets intentions. But there is another choice here: to pause, to breathe before the mind begins to race. This small act rewires everything. It reminds the brain that awareness comes before reaction, that you can choose peace before motion. In that breath, you set the tone for your neural day, one of calm attention. Instead of hurried thought, morning light does more than illuminate the room. It reshapes your biology. Blue wavelengths of dawn signal alertness. Serotonin levels rise, bringing steadiness and joy. Your internal rhythms align with the turning earth. You are a living clock, synchronized to the sun. Every cell in your body knows this rhythm. Every organ, every heartbeat, every pulse of thought. To awaken is to join the cosmos again. To remember that your mind and the universe share the same light. When you stretch, you are not just moving muscles, you are reminding your brain of embodiment. The motor cortex lights up. The somatosensory regions spark alive. The inner map of your body redraws itself in clarity. You are returning to gravity, to presence, to self. Even a slow yawn is a signal of transition, oxygen, energy, readiness. Each movement says, I am here. I begin again. The dawn within is also emotional. After the night's repair, your limbic system, the seat of feeling, awakens, cleansed, and calm. Dreams have softened what was sharp. Sleep has filtered what was heavy. You open your eyes not only to light, but to forgiveness, to the chance to begin again without the weight of yesterday's noise. Morning is mercy, written in light. Gratitude, when felt in these first moments, is powerful medicine. When you think, thank you, your brain releases dopamine, the chemistry of reward. Gratitude rewires attention from scarcity to abundance, from fear to trust. Begin your day here, in quiet appreciation for the air, for the warmth, for the simple fact of awakening. This, too, is neuroplasticity, gratitude, reshaping the pathways of perception. Each thankful thought becomes a new connection in the symphony of being. You may not always notice it, but each day your brain is reborn. New synapses form, old ones fade. An experience rewrites possibility. You are never exactly who you were yesterday. Each dawn is a gentle evolution. Your consciousness, like the light of the sun, rises endlessly, never identical, never finished, always becoming. And when you step outside, the day greets you back. The breeze touches your skin, the scent of morning enters your lungs. Your brain receives it all as the world's soft reminder. You belong here. Neuroplasticity continues, not only in thought, but in every sensation. Every sunrise is a conversation between your biology and the cosmos. And every morning, the dialogue begins anew. You have walked through the night, through sleep, dream, awareness, and connection. Now you stand in the quiet radiance of renewal. The dawn within you is not the end of rest, but its purpose revealed to rise awake, to live consciously, to greet the world as both student and light. Let this awareness linger as you move into your day slowly, softly, as though each breath were part of a sacred rhythm. You are not just awake. You are reborn. You are the dawn itself.